Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pod TV's number one do-it-yourself advocate show, Timeshare's Solution or Surrender, with your beautiful host, Irene Parker, and her wonderful team, Tarda. We have a few guests here today, but first I just want to say congratulations to them. They are on episode 106. We are missing episode 105 because of technical difficulties we hope to resolve. But this is a huge achievement, but also all of the wonderful achievements that they have done in guiding people to the right solutions for their problems with timeshares. Because as we say, not every timeshare problem is a scam, or, it just might need a little bit of a solution on how to understand your timeshare. But we have a guide and library of resources for that after the show. But let's bring in Irene. Irene, welcome and congratulations on 106.
Well, thank you. And I really appreciate I was pretty depressed after the last show. And I'm seeing here that we've lost Sheila again.
Oh, I'm back.
We can't see you, Sheila, but
that's okay.
Oh,
There you go.
There you are. Okay. So, and let me bring our guest, Mary. Mary from Tennessee, one of my favorite states, with a pro-consumer attorney general. And I was pretty depressed with the audio we had, not just last week, but another episode. And so it helps to have an engineer in residence. And I am now a proud owner of these things that we hope are going to solve these problems. And we thank Mary because she's been with us a couple times this week as we try to troubleshoot what was going on, and I learned quite a bit. Now, I'm always afraid I'm going to forget. So this is our Pod TV resource library with a lot of good information. Watch the whole 35 minutes. Sheila's on at the end explaining how to self-advocate. And what we're trying to do is tie everybody's complaint to the Timeshare Transparency Act. I think Mary would probably apply to all of these because she's had, I've never done this before, but I read through her report and I identified the red flags. And I'm not pointing the finger at Mary because Sheila can back me up that everybody ignores these red flags, and some you don't even realize they're a red flag. So I'm going to go through the 8 of them, and then we'll ask Mary to jump in and explain her situation, because she originally purchased in 2011. And I think it's deliberate that they deliberately sell you not enough points to go where you want to go so that it's not too expensive. And then you complain and they say, no problem, we can fix it, just cost you another 30,000 or so. So one of the red flags is Mary contracted with an exit company. And this is it's one that has the word law or legal in it, but it's not a law firm. Now, apparently there's honor among thieves, because one exit company who uses scare tactics, I know, to get people to sign up with them, published an article about these attorney-backed law firms. And people think they're being represented by counsel, but the law, you have to, it's still do it yourself. With one of them, the lawyer wrote a letter which was ignored because the developers pretty much know who the attorneys are that associated with exit companies. And when I went to the Better Business Bureau, this exit company does not allow their complaints to be read. There was over 40, which is a lot for a small company. And so there's one timeshare company, I forgot which one, that doesn't allow you to read the BBB complaints. BBB is very helpful because if you read the complaints, there might be one like yours, and if the company responds, you'll see, you can anticipate their response. So that's attorney back, number one, law or legal in the name. BBB, not reading complaints, being able to read complaints. Number 3, Mary's going to talk about one of the upgrade was for the perpetual contract. And as attorney Mike Finn, who's been on our show 3 times, said, there's nothing wrong with perpetual contracts. The house you live in and the car you drive is a perpetual agreement, but there's a secondary market, unlike most timeshares. Number 4 really upsets me, and this is industry-wide, the use of the word equity. Anybody you're told it's a mortgage or told it's just like real estate. So anybody hearing that if you trade in, as Mary did, a credit for equity would lead you to believe that there is resale value. There are over 1,800 listings on Red Week for Wyndham points. Then the most common complaint over and over and over, and thank goodness, one Wyndham buyer read the contract. It said personal use only. It was sold as an Airbnb investment. This was a Wyndham complaint, and she went back and recorded 2 misnamed quality assurance agents that backed up the scam. And normally we worry about, we don't want to name names, but if it's on a recording, it's not defamation. And then Mary is the 4th person, and 3 of them are Wyndham, where I don't know if it was the same day you bought, but for the other 2, it was the same day they bought or the day their account setup was arranged. They started getting those scam exit calls that Kim and I, rent out your RCI weeks, buy them for $299. They'll turn around, rent them out for $1,600 to convention dwellers. And so Mary put in her report, is it an inside job? Wyndham owns RCI. There must be people in the inside connected to these. The other, number 7, QA coaching, where don't say anything about this when you go to sign, because they don't want you just to buy, to just get out. And so you don't, and then you complain. And if this was important, you should have said something. This started in 2016 when over 1,000 people reached out to Diamond Resorts. And I got a call from their PR firm. We're going to go beyond the assurance of discontinuance. We're going to record the closing. I said, what a perfect entrapment. And unfortunately, I was right. And then I like to call, I can't remember which Roosevelt or what president talked about carrot or sticks. If you buy more points, you'll be able to sell them, or the stick. If you don't, your children will inherit these points. And that's the exit companies do the same thing. They tell you half the truth without saying that the heirs can just disclaim it, because all states have laws. So, and Mary, you said you stopped paying in September 2025. So everybody that's in your situation appreciates you sharing that. We had Tracy 2 weeks ago that stopped paying 2 years ago and has some really insightful comments. So go ahead, let's get started, and Sheila will weigh in afterwards about her collection experiences that she's going through, despite everybody having a lifelong 800 credit score until Timeshare entered the scene. So Mary, you bought in 2011 and you upgraded twice, and you must have used the points and enjoyed them. And we're going to focus on this most recent upgrade. But before you contracted with the exit company, did you call Wyndham to see about canceling this contract sold deceptively?
No, I did not.
And why not?
We were just really frustrated, and actually also, quite honestly, we were very busy last spring after we had gone to Wyndham and been there for the weekend, and we had several other vacations lined up. So I was honestly preoccupied with all of that. When I did answer a couple of these phone calls, they were that we were getting several phone calls every single day from people wanting to rent out our points. But then this one said, well, they were not offering to rent our points. They were offering to help us exit our contract.
And it sounds so inviting, so.
It sounded like, okay, so here's somebody who can help us do what we've been thinking about and talking about.
We had Dan on a few weeks ago, disputing Hilton, and he said it sounded like a voice coming down from the heavens. He was driving in his car listening to the radio, and after 3 years, we'll have to, or won't go into it, but they only refunded half after 3 years. So, did you use the points? Did you enjoy them? And what led you to attend the meeting at the second upgrade?
We only used our points a couple of times because of my work schedule, but I was able to start after the first upgrade. I was able to book anytime I needed to. And I think it was like 3 times that I used my points. And then that was the 4th time, it was last May of 2025. So we went to Wyndham in Williamsburg, and they told us we had a mandatory meeting. It wouldn't take very long, but we needed to be brought up to speed because it had been so long since they had seen us, and that since we had used our points, they needed to tell us of the changes that were coming about within this company. So we had to go to this meeting.
And what did they say that made you upgrade?
Well, he went into the typical spiel, and we were like, we don't even want any more points. We don't want to do anything except give you what we have. We want to get out of it. And he said that the reason we wanted out of our timeshare, we didn't find that it was financially worth it to begin with. We didn't use it often enough to make it worthwhile for the amount of money I spend on the maintenance fees alone. I could rent hotels anytime I wanted to on a vacation. So that it wasn't financially worth it to me to continue. And the biggest reason was they always told us this was in perpetuity and that our children were going to inherit this, and whether they liked it or not, and they were going to have to end up with the financial responsibilities if we were gone. So my children had no desire to be any part of this. So we wanted out of it. And right then the salesman jumped on that and said, well, with the new contract, there is no perpetuity clause. He said, he said, I just would ask that you hold on to this and pay it for 2 years. And then, you'll be able to exit and give that contract back. But you have to wait a couple of years. You can't do it right away. And he was just very emphatic about that. He said, but you can't say anything. He then got another woman to come over to the table, and the two of them coached us and told us not to say anything about that to the people in the signing room, that we were definitely not to say anything about wanting to get out of our contract. And then a third man came over and also reiterated the same things.
Now, did you we were focusing more on filing against the exit company with that attorney general, because they're ignoring you and refusing to give the money back. And so, but did you I bet you didn't file a complaint with the Virginia attorney general against Wyndham.
I believe I did after I spoke with you.
Oh, but the exit company didn't even have you.
No, they never recommended that I do that. No.
Well, what did they have you do?
They drafted some very poorly written letters that I had to write or print out myself, sign them, and send them to Wyndham. However, ironically, the first address they gave me the first time for the first letter was different from the second letter that they had me send to Wyndham. So I don't even know if Wyndham ever even got my first letter. And could that be why it took 6 months before I received a phone call from Wyndham? It wasn't until after I sent the second letter. And it was
How did that turn out?
It was fairly quick, maybe within 2 weeks of my sending the second letter to Wyndham. And at that point, I had done my own homework to find out which address was the better address to send it to. And I think, Irene, you had also helped me verify that.
Well, you don't, you can email. Or did you email or did you snail mail?
I snail mailed.
Yeah, see, that's not necessary.
And I also did email the second time. I used the same letter and I entered that into the form that they had online.
And what did the exit company charge you for this marvelous service?
Where I did all the work and all I did was I would get an email every couple of weeks. The first few agents that were working there were very good and they were very responsive. The second gentleman they transferred me to in October very seldom responded to anything. He never answered any of my questions. I think I paid them about $8,300.
It's just so sad. And what I don't understand is when you say upgrade, I'm thinking more like you turn in a 1-bedroom and upgrade to a 2-bedroom. But if you're buying points, you said you purchased 105 additional points for 64,547, less a trade equity, there's that equity word, of $38,999 for a net purchase price of $25,000. Did you have biannual points that you turned into annual? I mean, how many, do you know how many total points you have?
Off the top of my head, it was over 300,000.
So, in the car industry, it's called price packing, where they, overinflate prices. So to say that the purchase price was 64,000 less equity, trade equity credit of 38,000. I mean, it's ridiculous. Kimberly's going to freak out. And then you said the QA agent at Wyndham, that's the first time I heard this. They asked you, did you accidentally say anything or answer any questions inappropriately in the deeding room that could hurt you?
I know. And he asked me that each time we spoke on the phone.
Well, maybe they read my QA coaching report I sent them 18 examples of QA coaching. We can hope. So now,
I would only know that answer if I could hear the recording again.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you talked about you're not getting many calls or written correspondence, right? From the Pinnacle Wyndham's debt collector.
Once a month, I receive a letter, a statement from Pinnacle, and a phone call about once a month.
Okay, and Sheila, let's have you go over what you sent me through the roof when you showed me that the Timeshare Industry Lobby, American Resort Development Association, ARDA, not to be confused with, is in partnership with Blackwell Recovery Debt Collector that is hounding not just you, but Marriott Harborside has their maintenance fees went up to $5,500 in the Caribbean, and they're hounding all these seniors with debilitating medical conditions with no exit. So how often were you getting calls from them? And you really took them on. You sent them a pretty good document, if I remember.
Yes, I did. Um, when I first started, and it was with Exploria Resorts, and they sent Blackwell after me because we didn't pay 25 and we haven't paid 26. And Blackwell reached out to us by a letter and said that they were taking over and trying to collect money, what we owed to Exploria Resorts. And they sent us a letter saying how much it was and the interest and all this stuff. And I wrote back on that letter. I clicked a box and said we're still in dispute with them. So they couldn't reach out to me for another 21 days until they heard back from Exploria. And Exploria must have reached out to them because then they started again. And I get letters every once in a while, but I get phone calls all the time. And I think it's probably 6 or 7 phone calls, 6 or 7 days a week. But I will get like three or four phone calls a day, and I save them on my home phone. They don't have my cell phone. So
And did you send a cease and desist letter?
yes.
And they're violating the law.
Yeah, but that was way back, so I don't know whether they still are. That was when I was with Exploria and sent it to them too. So I don't know. I'm going to send another one.
Well, did you file a complaint with the BBB? Because I looked up Blackwell, and
Yes.
ARDA and Blackwell have a website, the ARDA's Buyers Marketplace. It should be called the ARDA Foreclosure Marketplace. And so I looked them up the other day, and there were quite a few BBB complaints. Have you filed with the Better Business Bureau?
Yes, and they're useless.
No, they're not.
Well,
They're not.
they keep it and everything, but they don't go after them. So
Well, sometimes they try to mediate because they'll send the complaint and then you can log in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they'll reply back that, oh, the debt is fine, and at least it gives you an opportunity. And they post it online when you say, I am not accepting this response because.
Right.
Yeah, it's unfair and deceptive. So this show is so helpful, Kim, for people that are just going through this. I really appreciate it. I always, after the show, I'm like, oh, I forgot this or that, because it's such a multifaceted, this whole journey and process.
Yeah.
And Mary, we're glad you shared all this today. And it's a fluid situation, so we hope to have you back with a happy report that this exit company, who is one of my least favorite, will have refunded the money that you
They
deserve.
haven't even responded to my letter. I sent another email to them. They emailed me when they received the letter that I sent to them. I sent a certified letter to them asking for a refund and outlining my reasons why. I received a letter from them telling me they had received my letter. And now I've sent them an email asking if my case has at least been reviewed. I still haven't heard anything back from them.
Have you filed with the Attorney General, the appropriate Attorney General?
The New Jersey Attorney General, yes, I did. However, their website, right on their website, states that it can take up to a few months before you hear anything back from them. And about the Better Business Bureau, when I was looking into filing complaints there, the thought has crossed my mind that rather than filing a complaint that other people may not be able to read, you can leave a review about that company and put your complaint in the review of that company. And more people are liable to read that than they are the complaint itself.
Good idea.
Yeah.
I also
Kimberly-
confirmed the Tennessee laws. I'm not quite sure where your exit company is, but they're not allowed, because it's a by state law, to charge upfront fees. So just
They didn't really charge up front. We opted to pay it off sooner rather than later so that it wouldn't be dragged out and cost me. When I figured out what it would have cost me, it was almost $12,000 if I spread it out with their payment plan.
Mm.
So that was saving almost 50% or 30% by paying it up front.
Yeah, but that's just in North Carolina, Kim, that exit companies
now,
can't
I
charge
just
up
read
front.
Tennessee laws that they're not. It's a by law. It's a by state law. So I thought I would look it up and see what they said.
Because
And
Wesley is in Tennessee, and they charge everybody upfront fees, and they're huge. They get 6,000 callers a week.
a lot of
Wow.
people
They
break the
advertise an
law.
awful lot
So
too.
Right.
I see a lot of that happening. But also, when someone says also, but they also advise that the Tennessee state advises if someone's trying to get you to pay up front to do an exit for you, think twice. That's their advisory,
Oh, yeah.
is to not pay up front. But it's not. They said
not
that
a
they've
law.
got all kinds of things that are not allowed in their state. And
Well, the problem with that is people don't see that.
right, they don't know to
look
enforce it.
right. They don't know to look, and they don't know to look at all these things. And
Well,
I didn't either until I met with Irene in 2016. And
Years.
we went through a whole bunch of stuff together.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know,
Yeah.
and that's why an advocate group like this is good,
Yeah.
because they can guide you to
Right.
do the right thing. And
Yeah.
and the
And
other
I don't trust an email to anybody, because I'd like to know how many people, just like Mary said, she's not heard back when she emailed them, but when she sent a certified letter, she did. I
Yeah,
tell
no,
everybody.
that's not affected anything, Sheila. We just like resend it, and then we resend it to the lawmakers. Sending to the lawmakers, ARDA, and is really getting a lot of responses from people.
Yeah.
So it's just so much trouble to do certified, and I've had many cases where but it looks like, Kim, we're getting out of
We're
time here.
wrapping up.
And it went fast. This went really
Yeah,
fast
it did.
today. And
I've learned
shout
so
out to
much in
Marsha
this
Blackburn.
one.
Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee has co-sponsored the Senate bill. So
Congratulations.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
appreciate that.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
One step closer to
Yeah.
just getting some laws in place. Now, what the
Maybe.
enforcement policies behind those laws will be, we don't know, but having a little bit of a rail to step up on that ladder is nice. Knowing that they see it, they're concerned. You guys have worked so hard. That was a beautiful trip to Washington, and I learned a lot. But just like today, wow, I learned a lot, because every time we speak with either what I call a victim, I call them victims, but Irene doesn't. But I love Irene. I wish I could be like that. But or even what Sheila's going through, I've learned, wow, it gets worse. Like when I think it doesn't, Irene will even tell me, just when you think you've heard the worst, it's spellbinding to me that these places get billions of dollars a year, and they cannot just make it easy for an exit, for people to get out. People who have hardships in their families, they should not have that choice like that. Senator's aide said they should not be forced to make a choice of whether they can eat or have bad credit. And having said that, I think we've run out of time, but everyone, thank you for watching us. Thank you, Tarda team.
Thank you, Mary and Sheila and Kim.
Thank you.
Bye. Next Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Feel free to shoot Irene's team an email if you have questions. Until then, take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.